let me tell you about football movies. There was a big debate the last couple days, started by Luke Horn on Twitter, about football
Luke
movies.
Horn, by the way, plays for Vista Ridge.
Vista Ridge, there you go. So we want to take a look at the. We want to take a look at football movies. I think that it's tough to make a good sports movie because sports are inherently dramatic, and it's hard to they're inherently spontaneously dramatic, and as a result, I think it's difficult to artificially create that drama. As a result, for example, we were talking yesterday about baseball movies.
Mm-hmm.
Bull Durham is
not a baseball movie.
It's a rom-com, right?
It's a romantic movie with baseball,
in it. I do think The Natural is great. I think The Natural is great.
A little too long.
I don't love Field of Dreams. It's fine,
It's
whatever.
A good movie.
Right.
Baseball.
There's not a ton, if you want to talk about a baseball movie, for example, Bad News Bears is not a baseball movie, I don't think. I think it's a movie, it's a
fun kids movie.
Fun kids movie.
Yeah.
It's not a baseball movie because what happens in the game is not necessarily the key important points of the movie.
Yeah.
So, it's tough to make a good sports movie in general. There are exceptions. I thought Miracle, the Miracle on Ice story, is really good.
Look, I think you have to go unconventional for some of these and think, it doesn't have to be a serious one to be great. Look, Major League is a great baseball movie.
Major League.
Sandlot is a great baseball movie.
Major League is maybe the best sports movie.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Major League is amazing.
If you have not seen Major League lately, go back and watch it. It was made in the late 80s, early 90s, and it's still hilarious to this day. So, let's talk football movies, though, because, again, there aren't a ton of great football movies. Let me start with a couple of things that are good football movies. I think The Program's a really good football movie.
Yep.
Okay? And it's a really good football movie.
Yep.
Other good football movies, boy, you really start to get light in the in your picks as far as good football movies are concerned. Because, for example, let me tell you, you have very hot opinions on Remember the Titans.
It's a bad movie. It's a cheap, cheesy movie that plays with race relations in a town in a cuddly way. Mm-hmm. It's a Disney movie.
It's a Disney movie.
The football scenes are ridiculous. It's like the Friday Night Lights TV show. How many miracle comebacks can you come up with to keep the drama going? I mean, come on.
I will say
it's
this.
Just cloying.
I will say that I saw Remember the Titans in theaters with my high school football team. We all went and saw it, and 17-year-old me thought it was great.
Right.
5 years later, I watched it again, and I realized this movie's kind of a nothing burger. It's just it's all played up, and it's very, to me, they tackle important topics in such a sanitized way that there's no realism to it, and so I didn't like it. I didn't like that. What do we think of Friday Night Lights?
It's fine, but it's not as good as the book.
Let's remove ourselves from the fact that we cover Texas high school football for a living.
Yeah.
I would say that for me, it, I like it. I like it. I agree with you. It's not better than the source material.
Yeah.
It's worse than the source material. But I also think that in the pantheon of football movies, not bad. I think an above average for football movies, right?
Sure.
Definitely above average.
I think what ends up happening with football movies a lot of time is the football movie itself isn't good from beginning to finish, but there are great moments. Mm-hmm. Like the Al Pacino speech in Any Given Sunday, right? Mm-hmm. That's a football movie moment that's great, But that movie is ridiculous from start to finish,
Boy, I'm going to disagree with you because
that speech is awesome.
Any Given Sunday is
okay.
Let me rephrase. Any Given Sunday is a bad movie.
Yeah.
That's a guilty pleasure movie, though.
Oh, for sure. But a lot of these fall into that category.
Yeah. Yes. Lehman Saunders, our six-man contributor, mentioned Horse Feathers, which is, if you haven't seen it, it's a Marx Brothers movie from way back when.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's good. It's good.
Sure.
It's above average, I would say.
It's good. Yeah.
Let's talk about other movies.
Well,
I know
I'm gonna call
go
our
for
good
it.
friend because he has a hot take about the big
Okay.
one.
Is Jerry Maguire a football movie?
No.
I don't think
It's worse than Bull Durham in that regard.
I don't think it is. It's a movie with football in it. It's not a football movie. I will say, as far as guilty pleasures are concerned, Varsity Blues is a bad movie. It's a bad movie, but it's a guilty pleasure. Varsity Blues is a bad movie, but a guilty pleasure. The Waterboy, bad movie, guilty pleasure.
Right.
Those would be the kind of situations. I thought the original, if you go back and watch the original Longest Yard with Burt Reynolds,
The original Longest Yard, great.
pretty solid.
Yeah.
Above average.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of bad movies. Let's bring in Danny Davis of the Austin American Statesman, who has some hot takes. Hello, Danny. How are you?
I'm doing good, Greg. How are you?
Thank you for hopping on with us. I know that you have something you want to get off your chest. We haven't yet discussed Rudy. But before we get to Rudy, I want you to tell me why you will cape for Remember the Titans.
I have no excuse for it. I mean, I know it's, trash movie. I know the football scenes are ridiculous. I mean, the last play is a 75-yard reverse with the quarterback as the lead blocker, and that somehow wins the state championship. I know it's just ridiculous, but it's a movie that, came in, was popular when I was in high school. I'd watch it a lot. Before games on team buses. I just have an affection for it, and it also has my guy Denzel in it. So, you can, I know Max has some things to say about it, and I could care less. It's my movie, and I love it.
I know.
Fine.
Max hates it. But now let's move on to the main event. Colleen Hartman's in my Twitter feed saying, "How can you diss Friday Night Lights, the TV show?"
Listen, Colleen, the show is great.
The show's great.
The football scenes and the comebacks are ridiculous.
Yes, that's
ridiculous.
That's fine.
There are not that many comebacks.
And Bull Durham
is not a baseball movie.
It's not a baseball movie. That's fine.
That's
okay.
the pettiest hill I am willing to
There's
die
that.
on.
Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about Rudy. Rudy sucks. Okay? Rudy's a legitimately bad movie, and not even bad enough that you can say it's a guilty pleasure. I do not understand why people like Rudy. It is the story of a guy who winds his way onto the football field. That's what the movie is about.
I think you're stealing Danny's thunder right now.
Danny Davis, go.
My disdain of Rudy has nothing to do with the movie. When I was a sophomore in high school, our school district paid for him to come in and speak to all of our high schools and give motivational talks. The real Rudy, not Sean Ashton. And so, it was a weird time. It was about a month after 9/11. Everyone was just kind of down and depressed. And, we heard Rudy was coming, and we were just so excited for him to come. We thought we were going to hear his great pep talk. We were going to go run through walls at football practice. We were so excited. And then this guy comes in, and he just talks about himself for like an hour. He just talks about how awesome he is, talks about how, people were calling him to go give, speeches to kids whose parents died in 9/11, and, talked about all the cool things he did in his life, and he was wearing a leather jacket. And then the one thing that always sticks out to me is he was like, I pitched my movie to, 10, 12 movie studios. They all shot me down, but I just kept persisting until someone picked it up. And it was like, wait, you pitched your movie? And so we were so angry about it, and I think we ended up booing him. And we just went to football practice, and everyone was just down. And now, if I put up on my Facebook page today, something about Rudy, there'll be 10 people from Billings Senior High School that I haven't talked to in 10 years, and they'll pipe in and talk about, just how much of a jerk he was and how angry we still are about that stupid Pep Rally and that guy. So I hate that movie. I hate Notre Dame. I hate everything about it just because of that stupid Pep Rally.
You know what? First of all, I'm glad that you have like a personal vendetta against Rudy.
Personal vendettas are always better.
I just have a cinematic vendetta against Rudy. Yeah. That makes this even worse of a movie. If he's shopping around his own story, like, how self-important do you have to be? And that's coming from me, a guy who hosts an internet show.
Yep.
Like, I'm really glad that we're exposing Rudy here.
Look, Rudy is way too long.
Oh.
He whines way too much. Yes, the final 10 minutes are solid, right? Like, the payoff is there, but it takes too long to get there, and he's not that, you don't want to root for him.
He's a football.
Crying.
It's the story of a football player who sucks, who decides to stick around until they will find a blowout to put him in. Like, I don't know. I'm really glad that I have your support on this, Danny, and for other reasons, not just that it's a bad movie.
Man.
I will die on the Rudy is a terrible movie and he's a terrible person hill.
Thank you. That's Danny Davis,
right.
a man with courage.
Thanks, Danny.
Thank you, Danny.
I see you guys.
That I'm serious. Rudy's a go back and watch Rudy with open eyes and tell me what that movie's about. Right. It is a story of a guy who winds his way onto a football team.
Just won't go away.
Here's another hot take. If he did this at any other school besides Notre Dame,
no one would ever know who he is.
Nobody would ever know it.
Yeah.
No. But because Notre Dame is Notre Dame and it's the most important school that's ever existed.
If Rudy had happened at Texas Tech at the same time,
we would never hear from it. If Rudy was a Texas A&M Aggie, which in many respects is as they have had some big success. Yes,
and the fan involvement, like the way they're connected to the field, just as amazing.
But no, because you'd never hear about it. Absolutely not.
So that's our Texan, to hell with Notre Dame stance.
No, I don't even care about that. Rudy sucks. Rudy sucks. It's a bad movie. It's bad. It's not just a bad football movie. It's a bad movie. It's just, I don't know. That's my take. What do you think of Rudy? Hashtag DCTF5.
Dude, wait. Before we go, because we have 45 seconds. Best football movie. What is your football movie? Because the reality is, there's no slam dunk here.
Rudy. No, I'm kidding. I think if I had to pick one movie, you're gonna laugh. If I had to pick one movie, because I'm watching Little Giants.
Uh-huh.
Little Giants is a fun, lighthearted movie that doesn't take itself too seriously. It's about football.
Right.
I would say Little Giants is my favorite football movie.
The Replacements. It's aging well.
Not bad.
Gene Hackman. Come on.
Keanu
is the quarterback.
It's not bad. You're exactly right.
But there's enough antics around the football of the movie that I think it's pretty solid, right? But I think it's easier too to make a ridiculous sports movie than a serious one.
It
so
is. Yes. So we were talking like Major League. Major League's a ridiculously hilarious, but a ridiculous football or baseball movie. Similarly, I agree with that.